What's going on, Crimson Tide football fans? This is the Alabama Football Report by Chat Sports. Appreciate you guys watching today's video with us. Coming up on today's show, we're going to be talking about the returning production for Alabama going into next season. Charlie Potter of Bama Online put out a very good article today about that. So kind of want to just break some things down and kind of talk about what that can mean for Alabama going into next season. Also, SEC and Big Ten are going to meet coming up here in just a couple of weeks to talk about the future of the college football playoff. So also kind of want to break down kind of their thoughts on that and possibly a new format for the college football playoffs. Before we get into that, though, make sure you guys hit that sub button for me right now. We've got free Alabama football videos for you guys all year long, so do not miss out on any Alabama football news or rumors out there. Make sure you guys hit that sub button for me right now. All right, first up on today's show, I want to talk about some returning production for Alabama next season. Really, in all things considered, they're returning to just over about 50% of their total production from this past season. And if you take out Jalen Milroe with the passing yards and Jalen Milroe with the rushing yards, and it would actually be a little bit higher than that. And I do think the returning production is a big thing because that played a very, very big role in Ohio State's national championship run this year, and as well as Michigan's national championship run last year. They had a lot of returners. You talk about the NIL, bringing guys back. I believe it was Tim Watts of Bama Online as well talked about, Alabama really wouldn't be bringing as much back going to next season as, if they really weren't going out there and giving those NIL dollars. So, you talk about the passing, about 9.6, Jalen Milroe was the starter this year. That's never going to be, a lot when your starting quarterback is going off to the NFL or leaving just in general. Rushing just under 50%, but like I said, Jalen Milroe was your leading rusher this year. So that kind of makes sense there. You also lost Justice Haynes, but we'll talk about that here in just a second. Receiving 65%, you're bringing back the total production for next year. That's really good, I think, considering you lost, 4 receivers to the transfer portal. You're also bringing in another top-notch wide receiver out of the transfer portal as well in Isaiah Horton. Tackling, about 62% there, about 50% in your total sacks there. And also interceptions. You're only losing 2 guys that got interceptions this year for Alabama out of the 10 players or something like that recorded interceptions for Alabama this year. So it's going to be really big for Alabama. They're going to be returning a lot of their production from this past season to next year. And I think that could play a very, very big role in a possible national championship run for Alabama next season. So let me know here in the comments section, what is the percent chance that Alabama will win the national championship next year? Let me know. It's the pinned comment of today's video. The ad's going to come here on YouTube. Totally fine. Take advantage of it. Go down there and let me know what is the percent chance that you guys think Alabama will win the national championship next season. All right, we're going to break it down just a little bit here. You talk about the passing production. Jalen Milroe going off to the NFL. You got Dylan Lonergan, had 6 throws this year as well. He hit the transfer portal. He's going to be going off to Boston College. So you got Ty Simpson and Austin Mack coming back next year. That's not a lot of production. We said, the passing yards, 9.6 total production going to next season. So, the biggest question is who's going to be the quarterback for Alabama? Is it going to be Ty Simpson? Is it going to be Austin Mack? Or is it going to be Keelan Russell? Those things are, yet to be seen. You got a long way until Alabama's going to be taking the football field next year. And then you also talk about the rushing production that's going to be coming back next year for Alabama. You see right there, Jalen Milroe was your leading rusher this year, over 700 yards. So really, in most cases, I think going into next season as well, you're not going to have that quarterback that really runs a lot. Now, if it is Ty Simpson, he, has pretty good legs on him. I think he can run. They're going to involve that a little bit, but it's not going to be that run-heavy quarterback offense that it was this season, because I think hopefully you're going to have a guy that can consistently get those balls to receivers. Jam Miller's coming back next year as well. I know a lot of us are very, very excited about Richard Young and Daniel Hill as well. Really does, kind of hurt that you're losing Justice Haynes, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. And then just kind of overall grand scheme of things here, 4 out of your top 5 receivers are coming back for next year. 8 out of your top 10 tacklers. 7 out of your top 10 sack leaders this year. And then 7 out of your top 9 players for interceptions are going to be returning for next season as well. So you get that experience going into next season. That's really something that both Michigan and Ohio State leaned on the past 2 years. Hopefully, it can really help Alabama going into next season. We'll continue with some more things here in just a second, but today's show is presented by GameTime. The NFL playoffs are underway, and you guys can get tickets for the conference championship games. If you guys want to go to the Super Bowl down in New Orleans this year, there's a lot of, Bama country down there as well. You can have a lot of fun, and you can get your tickets for the NFL playoffs on GameTime. GameTime has a new feature as well that you guys can use called the GameTime Picks feature. It just makes getting tickets even easier, and it also just filters out all the fluff to show you only the incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets to find the best value. Whether or not you want to go to a concert, a comedy show, a sporting event, they've got it all on GameTime. You got Willie Nelson coming to town here in just a couple of months. The Reese's Senior Bowl is coming up here in just a few weeks as well. If you guys haven't been to the Reese's Senior Bowl, that's a really fun event. Throughout the week, it's actually free to go to the practices. You can go out there and you can get autographs from players and things like that. And then usually the game is also pretty cheap to go to. And you can get your tickets last minute on GameTime. Alabama basketball, also a big game coming up here this Saturday against LSU at home. Really would love to see the Alabama fans pack Coleman Coliseum for that Alabama versus LSU game. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with GameTime. Download the GameTime app today, create an account, and redeem promo code ChatSports for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply, but again, create an account and redeem promo code CHATSPORTS. That's ChatSports for $20 off your first purchase. That link's in the comment section and the description of today's video. So download GameTime today. They have last-minute tickets at the lowest prices, guaranteed. All right, next up on today's show, I want to talk about the future of the college football playoffs here. SEC and Big Ten athletic directors are set to meet on February 19th. Oh my God, I just can't talk right now. In New Orleans. And basically what they're going to be talking about is the governance of college football, the CFP commissioners will also meet the very next week. I believe that meeting is set in Dallas. Their discussion is going to be about the governance of the college football playoffs as well as the format. Right now, the current format that we played under this year is also going to be set for next year as well. But after that, there could be some changes to the way the college football playoff is played. And the big idea that's really being pitched right now between the SEC and the Big Ten, I don't really know if, the other conferences are going to go for it, but this is what they are kind of discussing right now. They're going to possibly change from a 12-team playoff to a 14-team playoff. SEC and Big Ten both get 4 auto bids apiece, so that's 8 total teams there. The Big 12 and the ACC get 2 apiece, so that brings you 12 up to 12 there. And then the group of 5 gets 1 auto bid, and then you have also 1 at-large bid as well, whether that's Notre Dame or one of those other independents out there. It just kind of depends. But I think the way, Notre Dame's schedule is, they're probably the best independent team out there. So I would assume every single year just about they're going to get that automatic bid for the 1 at-large. But like I said, this right now is just hypothetical. Like I said, they're going to be meeting here in just a couple of weeks to discuss a lot of possibilities about the future of the college football playoffs. So let me know here in the comment section, that idea right there that we just discussed. You guys like it? Let me know what you guys think in the comments section. Type Y for yes or N for no. I personally do not really like the new format that they're really discussing right now. We just watched how the college football playoff 12-team format worked out this season. There weren't really a lot of really fun games. I think I speak for a lot of people saying that Talk about the viewership going down as well for that. And you just want to keep adding more teams. I just don't like that at all. And I really am just so exhausted of the auto bids. It makes no sense to me whatsoever. I think teams really do need to earn their way into the 12-team playoffs. The whole point of expanding the playoffs was to get the best teams in there, get the 12 best teams into the college football playoffs. And I just really don't think that's the goal anymore. If that's not the goal, then quit telling us it is. Like, if we're trying to do things like get everybody involved, at the end of the day, we're just giving away participation awards. I mean, look, I just like a lot of SEC and Big Ten fans out there, think the ACC and the Big 12 is not as good as, those other two conferences. But, the way things are just setting up right now, I really just do not like the auto bids. And I especially don't like it still for the SEC and the Big Ten as well. Just because you think you're a better conference, to me, really is just, whatever. That's beside the point. This is my crazy idea right now to kind of, I just think they're, easy ideas that can fix everything here. Number one, get rid of the group of five. I'm so tired of watching teams like Cincinnati and Boise State. Now I know Cincinnati's part of the Power Four now, but back when they played Alabama in the semifinals, they were a group of five team at that point. Nobody wants to watch these absolute just not very good teams play against Power Five teams. Nobody wants to watch that crap. Also, number two, 9 conference games. I'm really tired of hearing the complaining of the other conferences. Oh, the SEC thinks they're so big. Well, the SEC didn't really do much in the playoffs this year. Georgia, they had, the first round bye. They ended up losing their game. And then you also had Texas struggle win against an SEC champion in Clemson that nobody thought should be there anyways. And then a struggle win against Arizona State as well. So, you talk about the SEC schedule where the second best team in the SEC and the first best team in the SEC both, did not do very good in the playoffs considering who they played. So I really do think the SEC and every conference out there needs to play 9 conference games. And the reason because of that, I think you have 3 extra weekends as well. Conference versus conference weekends. I think that would be so fun. I think it would be perfect. You take a page out of, college basketball and kind of the way they do things as well. That's very fun. Imagine 3 different weekends. SEC versus ACC. You have Big 10 versus Big 12. Big 10 versus SEC. You can shuffle them around on those 3 weekends. And then once you get to, the final week where they're talking about who should be in, who's the better conferences, you actually have a data point that they actually, constantly talk about, having all these data points. And the arguments of, which conference is better, we can actually get a real feel of that if these conferences are playing against each other. Number 4 here, no independent teams. This independent team stuff is just absolutely BS in my opinion. You got Notre Dame. They're the most notable one, but there are a couple of more. Well, I really do not understand their excuse to not be in a conference right now because they're in a conference in soccer. They're in a conference in basketball. Why aren't they in a conference in college football? There are also a lot of money ramifications with them not being in a conference in football as well. I don't remember the exact numbers there were, but there were some payouts to different schools and conferences for winning some of these college football playoff games. And because Notre Dame was not in a conference, they got a lump sum that other schools had to actually, split between some of the other teams in their conference. So that is really a big point for them as well. Why would Notre Dame want to be in a conference? It really does play for them because right now they're the most notable independent team right now. And if you go to one of those auto bids for an at-large team, it's probably going to be Notre Dame most of the time. Number 5 here as well. Look, if you're going to have the 12-team playoff, just make it the 12 best teams. I am so tired of seeing teams like Clemson, like Arizona State. Sure, they won their conference, but if the College Football Playoff Committee did not think they were one of the 12 best teams, we're just giving away participation awards at this point because they both lost their games against Texas, who had the weakest schedule in the SEC this year. I know they went, and lost to Georgia in the SEC championship game, but Texas was one of the weaker SEC schedules this year, and I do really think it did show in kind of the way how their college football playoff run, went about. There's also one more problem here that we really do need to address, and I really don't know what the fix is for it. Conference championship games are really becoming an issue. You got the ACC, SMU's coach went out before the ACC championship and talked about, look, if our entire team got COVID right now, we would be in the college football playoffs. Now, this was before we knew that they were going to be into the college football playoffs, even with their loss against Clemson. But going into that game, there was a lot of discussion about Alabama versus SMU, depending on how that game went. We somehow need to figure something out about these conference championship games to make them more impactful this year. Because the Big 12, or the Big 10 and the SEC conference championship games, they meant absolutely nothing this year. I mean, let's just be completely honest. It was all on seeding. Georgia ends up winning that game. They get the first round bye. Oregon gets the first round bye from winning their conference as well. But the Big 12 and the ACC, the only reason their conference championship game matters is because that they got the auto bid, even though they were not a 12 best team in the country this year. So something really does need to be fixed about the conference championship games right now. There is a wild idea being floated out there as well. I think the ACC, as well as myself, had this idea. It's a crazy idea. It's probably not going to fix anything, but you take the four best teams in each conference, have them play a 4-team playoff against each other to win their conference championship, and then those 4 conferences play against each other in a 4-team college football playoff bracket as well. So your conference championship tournament really does mean a lot because it's a way to get into the actual college football playoffs, but that would also mean that you'd have to get rid of the group of 5. So there are a lot of problems right now with college football. I don't really know how they're going to get fixed, but hopefully there's somebody that can have some good ideas because the future of college football right now, I think, is at stake.